Hey everybody, I'm Ryan DuPraw, and that is Andy Sutton, CEO of Verbero Hockey, and this is the Carolina Hockey Podcast. Thanks for joining us today. I am very excited on many different levels. Number one, I'm 5'5", so that's my level. Number two, we have a new sponsor for the podcast, which is Verbero Hockey. And as you can see with all my gear, I'm a huge sponsor for Verbero Hockey. Truth is, package hasn't shipped yet. You know, I blame COVID for that, Andy, but I did get one here the other day, and my kids, I got two daughters, they'll probably tell on me, right? Because every time something shows up, they're like, hey, is that the ring for mommy? I'm running to the door and I'm like, is that my hockey gear? So I got my priorities in the wrong order, but I couldn't be happier than having the CEO himself show up, which is rare for a big, well-known hockey company. And you get to talk to the head man himself. So we're going to take some time, get to know Andy, get to know Verbero, and more importantly, the story of how you got here, Andy. So first of all, thanks. And this is your first time being on. I know you're a busy man, so thanks for cutting out some time of your day. You're a busy day for us.
No, it's my pleasure. I'm happy to be here. I'm honored to be connected with you, Ryan, and really looking forward to working together in every way to let people know there's a different way of doing things, whether it starts with, you know, the way you learn to skate or the way you support that, or all the way through your gear or how your teams are outfitted. So I know we're gonna do great things together.
Well, I want to touch on that specifically, Andy, because a lot of people know about your NHL career and that you're a 14-year veteran. What they don't know is the story about how you got involved with hockey equipment. And I look at it and you see a lot of, you know, hockey players, well-known hockey players, and they're associated with a brand. But your story is a little bit different, and your background coming out of college and what you studied kind of goes hand in hand. So I would love for you to share the story of how you got from A to Z and wound up working with Verbero and changing the whole company.
Yeah, it's a pretty dynamic story. I mean, hopefully all roads lead to Rome in the end, but you know, I've always had a very inquisitive mind. I've always kind of looked at everything and thought, well, that could be better this way or that way. It's been very intuitive for me, and that sort of led me to you know, while I was studying at school at Michigan Tech, I started out as a biology major, and I've always been very ambitious, probably recklessly ambitious at times. But you know, I was playing D1 hockey there, very thankfully playing D1 hockey there at Michigan Tech. I didn't have a lot of other options at the time, and that was the best case scenario for me, and one of the greatest things that really ever happened in my life. And I decided, you know, that biology was a fine degree, and my plans were to go to medical school. I never really thought that hockey career was going to be the thing that would sustain me for as long as it did. So, in my ambitious state, I decided, well, I might as well get an engineering degree and then go to medical school, because that seems like a better idea. So I transferred out of biology and into environmental engineering. I'm an outdoorsman at heart. I'm an avid fly fisherman, and I love to camp and just be outdoors. And so it seemed natural to get into a career where I'd be able to hopefully have an impact on protecting and preserving the environment. So the engineering, you know, education is more dynamic than that. You touch all facets, and I learned a little bit about all different sectors of engineering, which was really cool. And more than anything, it taught me how to think more critically and then more literally to, you know, how things function and how they might be altered. So you know, one thing leads to the next. I get through school. You know, I never really had much going on the first 3 years. I had a opportunity to take an internship with the U.S. Navy after my junior campaign, so the summer before my senior season. And like I said, the first 3 years were fairly lackluster. You know, I switched from forward to defense my sophomore year, and that, you know, came with some difficulties, as you can imagine. And up and until that point, there was never really anything, you know, too incredible that had transpired to that point. So, but for whatever reason, I decided to turn that opportunity down, and I stayed at school that summer, and I trained, and I really just had a very relaxing summer in a lot of regards. Like I worked and worked out with a few of the guys that stayed with me, and we had a great time. And for whatever reason, you know, everything I touched turned to gold. That senior campaign, I won WCHA Defensive Player of the Year, and went from never being drafted and having, you know, $6 in my bank account to having 14 teams try to sign me the day after my final game, which was crazy. Was really, really crazy. And you know, so I went through the career, and you know, I missed more games due to injury than any player over the time period that I was in the NHL. I had you know, 14 surgeries over a 16-year period, and that doesn't even count all the fractures and different things that kept me out of play. So because of that, and because of my style of play, and really being like really one of the pioneers of how modern guys block shots, and the way that the guys go down now, you know, I learned the hard way, I would say, you know, where I needed to be protected and how I needed to be protected. And you know, I joked that I was in an air cast as much as I was in a dress shoe for most of my career, and that's a true story. So I started tinkering, you know, during my career, and I was so fortunate to have worked with really incredible equipment guys and equipment managers, and they were always helping me sort of add custom components to my gear. Well, the stuff started becoming heavier, you know what I mean? And I wanted to be faster. I wanted to be more agile. So, you know, we were always working with new materials and, you know, carbon fiber and all kinds of different stuff to try to, you know, sort of, you know, up the ante and make the product as protective as possible without adding too much material weight. So you know, that led me to starting to think about life after hockey. When I got to about the 11 or 12 year, you know, point in my career, I started thinking like I can see this winding down. I can see the windows, you know, starting to close a little bit. So I should start thinking about what I want to do, because I know there's a whole life to live after hockey, and I need to have things that are inspiring to me in order to, you know, to drive me forward in a constructive way in my life. So I started developing some intellectual property in the protective space, and started to develop and protect some intellectual property and patents in that regard, and then started working in the, you know, sort of manufacturing sourcing side of things to source the components, and started to work in parallel a licensing program, and really quickly isolated on the Easton brand. Of which I worked for about 2.5 years on a licensing programs for some of my IP, and lo and behold, Bauer snatched them up, and I lost 2.5 years worth of work because they basically squashed the brand, and that was devastating in a way. But you know, I had the experience. I got to connect with some great people there, to include Neil Wensley, who was the first person I hired when I took over the Verbero brand. Neil was the director of R&D and product development with Easton, and always showed me the utmost of respect and consideration. And we developed a friendship through that licensing program. And so coming out of that, I toyed around with a few other things for a couple of 3 years, and then ended up going and working for a hockey company out of California that owns its own brands. The founder there he founded both Hockey Giant and Hockey Monkey previously. So when I got in there, I was acting president of that company, and I touched everything from manufacturing, sourcing, to, you know, product development, to you know, marketing, sales, you know, even warehouse inventory management. I mean, I got to touch every facet of that business. So I was able to really learn a lot about every facet of sort of the back end of the game. And then during that time, there were some acquisitions that occurred. That brand, the company I was working for, acquired a Canadian apparel brand called First Star. And I was a partner in that acquisition. We acquired Verbero during my time. I then worked on Verbero for almost 2 years before purchasing it. And anyways, long story longer, I near the end of my time there, and really at the beginning of COVID, I parlayed some of my investments in First Star, and took some gains off the table, and then used the remainder to leverage a position to take the Verbero brand outside, because I always really wanted to do things my way. And especially after having spent the previous 4 years, sort of seeing how the business of hockey is done. I knew that I could make an impact and make a difference. I could integrate some of my own IP. I could change the way that people buy, the way that goods are sold. I can change the whole model. And so I really took the best of what was Verbero, made some material changes to it, and then really added in everything that I'd learned up until that point in the game of hockey, working in the game of hockey and playing hockey for most of my life, and sort of, put that all in a giant bouillabaisse, and then spawned out the new Verbero. And in that, I mean, I know Ryan, but we're player direct to everyone, right? So we're not trying to go through retail. We're not jacking up margins to account for that. We really work hard to make sure that our prices are ultra competitive, because we really know that the system is broken. Like, if people understand fundamentally that a skate at manufacturing level, the difference between a $200 skate at retail and a $1,200 skate is about $50 at manufacturing level. So why should an end customer have to pay $1,000 more for something that costs the brand $50? And then why should the customer have to pay for all of the high level endorsements and CEO bonuses and the fact that when they build their model, they build it to account for closeout inventory, that they leverage and strong arm all of the retailers because they stuff product down their throat, and then they basically stuff more product down their throat, and then they also sell direct against them on their own websites now. So the whole model is broken. And the worst part is, at the end of the day, when you see that companies, because they're publicly traded, when you see their their net, they lose money every year despite their market position.
Is that right?
So yeah, so it's really, the model's broken, and on top of that, there's not really a brand voice or a brand face anymore, right? So that's the thing that I'm changing personally by spreading the word, connecting with hockey minds, and it's a re-education. People have to get comfortable. They have to understand that these are, our products are as top tier or more top tier than anything on the market. Our stick is the lightest stick in the world. Our skate is the only full carbon fiber skate. We have an alliance with Cav Helmets, a 3D printed, full custom helmet that is lighter. It's 10 to 15 times more protective than the competition's best helmet. And on down the line, we have a team store software that we developed that allows us to host all of our custom products, all of our apparel, gameware, custom bags, all of the sticks. We do custom sticks. We'll do custom goalie. All of that is hosted in e-commerce 24/7, 365. And we have, a special relationship with the teams where we offer credit back on purchases in there. We tripled the industry standard commission rate for sales reps. We allow our sales reps to build their own micro rep forces, to allow them to work with their best friends and colleagues. We let them sell anywhere. We don't give any territorial exclusivity. So we've blown the doors off the hockey market, absolutely blown the doors off, and it's working. To put it in perspective, I think Bauer pre-COVID had 50 sales reps worldwide. We just crossed the 170 rep threshold last week, and that's only since March. And guys are starting to build their sub rep forces now. We have one rep that has over 30 sub reps already all over the world, and these are top quality people that are deeply integrated in the game. They're parents, they're commissioners of leagues, they're coaches, they're hockey academy teachers. I mean, just on down the line. And we're really finding that we were almost becoming like the social media of hockey. We're a whole new breed of people, and it's a brotherhood. I mean, you've seen it, Ryan. You were on the call last week with our guys. I mean, it's a brotherhood. It's a fraternity. It's really the way things should be done.
Yeah. I mean, from step one, getting presented with the opportunity and looking at the catalog, and I was like, well, where's the other versions of the skate? Where's the other glove models? Because I'm so used to being in there. You can get lost in some of the other companies and their products, and trying to compare the different specifications and what's different in this model. Why am I paying more money? And you have one choice. I was like, well, this is different right there. You had me hooked. And then everything else has just been icing on the cake. It's just been a treat to learn how different you are, because I train differently. I was thoroughly impressed and honored to be a part, Andy, really.
Well, likewise, having you as part of it, Ryan, you know, and it was the same for me, whether when I was playing in the NHL was the same way. I was equally as connected to everybody along the way. I never felt like it was the be all and end all, or that I was anything extra special. You know, while I was playing it, I felt connected to the fans, all the people that assisted with the team. And I always sort of saw myself, you know, in my life as so much more than just the game, and that curiosity and that desire to connect, I knew was gonna showcase itself at a certain point, and now through Verbero, it really has. I mean, I'm reconnecting with so many old friends and meeting new friends that are, you know, have been spending their lives in hockey. You know, I think we've signed on almost a dozen ex-NHLers now already to join the team. So, and we've put an initiative in place to bring on more and more guys. You know, we're running all of our own tournaments and academies, branded stuff. We're aligning with people that already do that, and we're co-branding those events so that we can put our brand behind all the grassroots, you know, fundamental portions of our great game. And that's just the mainstay for us. You know, we're pushing hard into women's hockey, harder than any brand. It's not an afterthought. We're not placating anybody. You know, the typical model is these girls, and they're professionals, and they're like scrapping for tape in the locker room. It's a joke. And we're not going to take it. Verbero is hockey, you know, and you brought up the point about the one product. This is our model, right? We've got one amazing stick, one amazing glove, one amazing skate. And we're always working in behind to find a better solution or to further perfect the solutions that we've provided for people. And that's it. I mean, I don't want to have 3 sticks. You know, you talk to Neil sometime, ask Neil what the most humiliating time in his career is when he had to go with the next product line, and he had to stand up in front of all the retailers, and he had to stand up there and tell them why this skate is $100 more when it's just got different graphics on it. I mean, he said he'd go away and he'd feel sick to his stomach, right? And they know it. People know. People aren't foolish. You know what I mean? And we're in a global marketplace now. We're in 2 seconds on Amazon. You can find the lowest price product that ships free on Prime, and you don't have time to mess around because we're all busy, right? So we're trying to make hockey that way, where you can focus on all the other things you need to focus on. You're not going to have to pay out the nose for everything, and we're going to make it easy for teams, leagues, and associations to get the stuff that they need to support products. It's not rocket science. It's a hoodie. It's a warm-up jacket. You know what I mean? And we've got incredible manufacturing partners that I've worked with now for almost 3 years perfecting these products. Started very simply. I send them all my favorite stuff. Here's my Travis Matthew quarter zip, my G4 polo. Here's this Lululemon product. And I worked through a few different iterations until they perfect it. And once it's perfected, same thing. There's our hoodie. We've got the best hoodie. We've got the best quarter zip. We've got the best warm-up jacket. Whatever it is, that's the way we work it. And people will see when they get, you know, acquainted with our products and our services, how simple we make it and how great the products are time and again.
Well, I want to go back to something you touched on, and scary thing too, hockey guys, you get together and then there goes a day, because you go hockey stories all day long.
Yeah.
You talked about girls hockey, right? And that really struck a chord here in the Raleigh area. Hockey's growing in general. Exponentially, girls hockey is growing here. And I've heard many players and families throughout North Carolina saying, we just don't get the kind of attention that the boys have always got. And, you know, they just don't feel like they're high up on the priority list. And I know you're doing different things, big things coming for girls hockey.
Yeah, for sure. You know, we're pushing into it in a big way. You know, we signed on our first ambassador that we signed on was Blake Bolden. So we're not going to endorse all kinds of people, and we work a very specific deal, you know, with these guys to support them, to give them, you know, a store where they can sell merchandise, support them with product. Like Blake is about to receive. She doesn't know it yet, but we're setting up a sort of a surprise. We masqueraded it that we're going to video her getting a training session, because she's just a beast. She's flipping tires and doing all kinds of stuff. but she's going to get Neil's going to drive down and surprise her. She's the first woman to have a custom graphic on a hockey stick, on a custom hockey stick for her. And she's going to receive those actually tomorrow. So we'll have that video out for people to see, very, very shortly. So having Blake as an ambassador really symbolizes the type of program that we're going to be pushing forward. Hockey is for everyone. It's about equality. Verbero is hockey. I don't care if it's street hockey. I don't care if it's deck hockey. I don't care if it's roller hockey or ice hockey. We all love the game. My dad has a statement, which I love. He's like, son, it's always someone's Stanley Cup. And he's right. Whether you're a beer leaguer, whether you're playing in your ball shoes and you're running around a gym and you're playing a tournament there, it's somebody's Stanley Cup. And to that regard, we all love the game the same way. It's in our blood. It's in our DNA. And I want people to understand that we know that. And that's what differentiates. We're not going to like put product in ball hockey because like that, it's just like the thing we're supposed to do. Everything has to have a reason for being. And for us, it's the reason for being is because we're a hockey company. We're a hockey company. We want to make sure that people can get the best products at the best price, and we can support people's love of the game. That's it.
Well, I was going to go into a quick story. Anybody that knows me, Andy, they know that my stories, they come full circle at the end, and then there's the kicker. So my story that comes full circle is after you've been in this game long enough, you can find a hockey guy. There's commonality. You cross paths somewhere, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't think you even realize where you and I cross paths. So once upon a time, you were in a tournament, I'm sure, called the GLI down at the Joe Louis Arena. And this guy, I've raised a Michigander. And the one thing that we have in common is our height, right? Because I'm pretty damn close to being as tall as you are. You're only what, about 6'7"?
Yeah. Not maybe not these days. I'm definitely shrinking. I sit in front of the computer a little too long. My spine's compressing on a daily basis here.
If I threw a hip check, I'd probably blow out one of your knees because I've
only got one good one left. So just make sure you catch the bad one so I can finally get that replacement.
This is because I got my Verbero stick in, right? And at 5'5", you chop a lot of those sticks off. So if I buy an 85 flex stick, by the time I chop it down, I don't know. What do you think it's flexing at? It's probably.
If you take, and I have this conversation all the time, and it's another initiative we're putting forth. So we just opened up tooling on all the intermediate blade profiles because we did a poll with a lot of the leading girls. Blake was one of them. We talked to, Jana Heffert and Cassie Campbell and Carly Campbell and a lot of the leading girls at the game. And we asked the question, if there was an intermediate diameter shaft within full flex orientation, how many of you girls would switch just on shaft diameter alone? And they said 70 to 75%. So the reason why most of the brands haven't done it, the girls don't want a smaller blade. They want a senior profile blade. Well, nobody's opened up the tooling on the blades because it's too expensive for girls hockey. I mean, that's what the brands have decided. We took it on head on. We opened up the tooling, and we're gonna be launching the first full flex stick program all the way from junior through intermediate and into senior. So even in senior, like we'll go down as far as 45 flex. I mean, we can build anything anybody wants. And you're right. Like, I used it like a 120 or 125 when I played, mostly because I just liked the way the puck settled down, and I was all about settling it down quickly, making a good first pass. That's what it meant for me to play well. It wasn't so much about, whether my shot was harder or not. I really just wanted the puck to settle down. I now use an 85 flex because I play forward. I don't block shots. I just want to tuck it under the bar. I want to feel the puck. And I don't want to work that hard anymore, so, but I don't cut it. Right. And then when we did our photo shoot with Blake, video shoot with Blake, she uses an 85 flex and she cuts about 8 inches off of it. So okay. Blake's probably using I don't know what the conversion is by inch, but it's got to be 120 or 125 flex. Think about that, right? She's like 5'5", 145 pounds, and she's using a 125 flex, and she still shoots at 90 miles an hour. So, we started thinking about this, in the junior program, like our sticks are different lengths. So our 20 flex is shorter than our than our 30 flex, which is shorter than our 40 flex and our 50. And we do the same thing through intermediate. And then really, we should be doing the same thing for senior, because whether there's, whether you're and I'm probably a perfect example, like I was a late bloomer. So at 14 years old, I was still like very much a child, but I still remember this. I played with this guy named Jeff Steinmetz. And Jeff was one of those man children who had a beard when he was like 12. And I still remember this. We were 14 years old. He'd skate, he'd score every time he touched the puck virtually. And he beat all the parents on the team in arm wrestle with both arms at 14. So, there's that guy that probably should have a 95 flex or whatever he needs. And then there was me, right, who was tall and lanky, and I still hadn't gotten that strong at that point in time. And I probably should have been in an intermediate like 55 or something like that, but that wasn't available. You got your dad's hockey stick, and then you cut it down, and it was wood back then. So, I mean, that thing was like literally a 2x4 with a blade on the end, right? I mean, how can you expect any performance out of it? So, we're going to push forward with a lot of these fit centers. Any event that we're at, we're going to have sort of a lot like the golf industry has done. We're going to basically set your profile, because most people probably don't know what they should have, because it's pure guesswork, right? So we'll have different sticks to test people. We'll have a radar gun there. We'll have a slow motion camera so people can actually see how that stick is loading, and then they'll be able to see the actual result, with the speed that's being generated off of the right flex stick. And we'll be able to sort of customize that for people.
Well, hey, and you were, there was not a word of a lie from you. You were like, Ryan, wait until you get product in your hand and you'll be blown away. And especially a power skating guy with hands of stone. I was like, okay, the lightest stick ever. Well, we'll see. And I picked that sucker up. And I mean, that felt like nothing. But the thing that I noticed most was not necessarily from the shooting, but when I was stick handling around with it, I felt every single ounce of that puck in my hands, which was a nice treat. I got to tell you,
that's a big thing for me. And I was always a guy, like I like to have my head up, and I really like to feel the puck. I've used a million sticks over the course of my career. And it was always the ones where I could really feel it that made the most sense. And I think it makes the most sense to everybody in general. Like if the point is to have your head up and be aware of what's going on around you, the last thing you need to be doing is looking down to check where the puck is. I mean, that's the last thing you need to be doing. And I'm glad to hear you say that, because that was like a big thing for me when we brought this stick forth. And, it was so light that I was like, this thing can't be durable, right? So I went out and wear tested it myself. I took like 350 one-timers with a 75 flex stick, and literally the thing never broke. And I used it for 6 months after. I did that 2 or 3 different times just to make sure. And I was finally like, man, this is it. Like, this is the answer. This is the product, and we're going to sell it at a price that actually makes sense for people.
That's awesome. Well, now we're going to go to my specialty, right? And then this has not been rehearsed. Okay. So I'm just putting you on the hot seat. So you got a Bauer guy since the age of 4. So now I'm like about ready to order my first pair of skates, my Verbero skates. And I'm like nervous. I'm like, how is this going to compare? How am I going to make the transition? And then I'm like, is it really in the fact that it just says Bauer on it and it's locked in my head and I've been a loyal customer for all these years? Or I'm like, what am I going to notice? What's one of the big differences you think I'm going to notice right off the bat when I get them, Andy?
Well, I'll say this, because of the construction that we have, and the fact that it's mostly carbon fiber, there's a lot of flex built into the boot. And then because of the way that it's a uniboot design, so it's basically pre-molded, right? And then we dress it out on the interior with a really incredible comfort interior. So I think the first thing that you're going to realize, because what's happened with the competitor skates, they've thinned the profile, and I have really protruded ankle bones. So I can't wear any traditional skate because of my ankle bone bottoms out against the rigid exterior that everybody uses now. So to just the skate off the rack does not work for me in general. This skate is one of the most comfortable skates you'll ever put on, because it's, as much as it's stiff and it's performance based, it has an interior that has enough padding to really wrap you to where it feels almost like a skate you've been wearing for months right out of the box. It's not the skate you heat for 10-12 minutes either. It's like 3 minutes at 175, and it's really just to break in the internal liner. It's pre-molded, so you don't have that break-in period that you have with other skates. The other thing that I think you'll notice is, and this is something that I think is important, I find the typical skate, it's a little narrow up near the end of the eyelets and up towards the toe box, in my opinion. And I think, and you could probably attest to this, you're a much better skater when your toes can get down and flat and spread out for stability, right?
I'm a double E width guy.
Yeah, so am I, and I can wear our skates. So our skate's a D, but it's a generous D. It has a broad forefoot section, and then because of the orientation of the internal foam, even if you're a thicker heel cup guy, or you got like wider ankle set, this skate really is a better one size fits all than the traditional stock skate. And then, to compare us against, you brought up brand names. We're going to talk about it. If we're going to talk about True as the competitor, in the carbon fiber world, a few things stick out. Their skate's hideous. It's awful to look at. I mean, who wants to wear a skate like that? It's only custom. It's $1,200. It uses less carbon fiber. It uses less of a quality of carbon fiber. And there's even some other features. I don't think their tongue's as good. I don't think their toe box is as good. I mean, there's a lot going on there that differentiates us. And then you're not looking at $1,200 price point. You're looking at a $400 price. We're literally one third the price. We're one third the price of that same skate. I mean, I can stand behind that. I can stand behind that all day long. I know that people are going to love the skate. I know it's a bit of a leap of faith, and with anything that you try that's new, there's a grace period where you've got to get used to that new thing. Even if it's like you buy a new car or whatever it is, you got to learn the features. But when you do, like a couple weeks in or even a couple skates in, you don't think about it anymore because you have faith in the product. We partnered up with Quick Blade on the Blade program as well. One of the best, if not the best, interchange systems in the game. It was the original, and the only reason that it kind of stagnated a little bit is because basically they had an infraction on their intellectual property with one of the top brands. I'm not going to say any names, and they tried to squash them, and they ended up winning. They ended up winning the legal battle, and we have an exclusive with QuickBlade to be our interchange system. I use that when I played in the NHL. It's one of the best. It really is, and we use a really high grade 420 stainless that holds an edge really well. All in all, I would say top to bottom, we have by far and away the best boot for the price. So somebody they want to know like the conversion. Do you guys have some type of sizing conversion chart to know, like if you're in this product and in a Verbero, it'd be pretty comparable sizing, or to help them out? Yeah, for sure. And we weren't fools, we know what we're up against. So we based our base sizing off of quite frankly Bauer sizing. I mean, that's what most people are comfortable with. And in that regard, we're you'd be in the same size. And like I said, I think you'll experience great delight when you see how your foot can spread out a little better, because we do have a wider set toe box, and we have a better exchange into where the toe box attaches into the mold, and it allows for nice stability in the forefoot. That's awesome. Well, hey, I know you are a busy guy, so I just got a couple more things, and then we're gonna let you get on with building Verbero and get more reps on. But one thing also that impressed me, Andy, is the customer service, right? It's basically it's relationships. Mm-hmm. So Verbero, you're getting taken care of by a Verbero rep that has a relationship with you. What does that look like moving forward, rather than buying a product and once and done, see you later? What does that relationship look like down the road after you make your first purchase with Verbero? Well, relationships are everything. And, in that regard, we we feel so honored when somebody chooses us, right? And as a brand owner, and there's no better feeling than when you see a sale come in and it's a new customer and they've picked up some sticks or they bought a skate. It's a really great feeling because you're reaching people, and we don't take that lightly. I don't believe that at the other top brands it's that way. I don't think anybody even looks at the name of the person coming in, where they live, what they may have ordered. And I don't think it necessarily means anything to anybody, let alone the CEO. I don't think he ever even sees it. Right. So from that regard, like we hold it to a very high regard. And because of that, we think about our brand that way. We think about the individuals that we work with. We think about how we can make things better for them, make them more streamlined, make them more automated, make the products more accessible, make them better, offer them at the most cost-effective pricing. And then beyond that, like I tell my guys this all the time. If we do that and we focus on that as an approach, we don't ever have to spend $1 on marketing, because the people are going to market the brand. Our reps are going to market the brand. Our reps, sub reps are going to market the brand, and on down the line. And we're seeing this ripple effect take hold, and it's really propelling us in a big way.
That's awesome. And kind of piggybacking on that, how does that look for a team and or organization where they're actually, you scratch my back, I'm going to scratch your back. You have a loyalty program or an commission. I don't know how to explain it. The discounts that they get that build up over time. Can you go into that really quick, how that works?
For sure. So we know that people like to put bulk orders in. So we want to make this simple, and a lot of the other brands have failed because they'll give Peter one price and Paul another and Jane another price. And then Jane talks to Peter, who talks to Paul, and they all find out that they're paying different prices for the same stuff, and everybody's mad. So we set what we call player direct pricing. We're player direct pricing to everybody. If an individual comes to Verbero.com and they make a purchase, they get the same price as the teams get. The only distinction is if the teams place a bulk order, there's a discount program that goes against the total value of the purchase that accrues to a higher degree the more they spend. So that incentivizes teams to put in their bulk order what they need for the season or what they need for spring programs or whatever that may be. Aside from that, once a team is onboarded with us, and when we say onboarded, when they've made an investment into product, we created a proprietary software system, as I mentioned, that allows us to generate these team stores with all of the cataloged products in the team's independent colorways and logo options on all of the apparel. Their game wear is there, the custom bags are there, and many other items, and then all the stock items are hosted in their store as well. What we do is we allow the team to point that to their customers, so their customer base can buy from there. And then from there, all of those purchases made within the team store go to a coupon that goes back to the teams that they can redeem at any time. They can use it for sticks, they can use it against apparel, they can use it against gameware, they can use it for promotional items, sponsorship items, whatever they want to do with it, and never expires. It accrues, and the teams can use it when at their convenience. That's our way to give back to the organizations. Some organizations have set it to go directly back to like a learn to play program. So they'll dedicate it to an actual program that fuels their program. That's been a brilliant thing that's worked for some of the organizations. So we're really open, and in the end, like, people are working with me. Me and my team. I touch everything that comes in. I orchestrate whatever the parameters are for the deal and the partnership. And we're open-minded. We want to work with people in a way that's meaningful, that makes sense. And really, more than anything, we're not looking to have any kind of flash in the pan. We want to have long-standing relationships where we support one another and connect through this amazing game that we share a love for.
That's awesome. Well, last but not least, how do people plug in? How do they get more information? How do they get in touch? And how do they get their hands on product?
Well, you can always go to Verbero.com and surf around and purchase that way. If there's any questions more specifically about being part of the sales team, anybody can email info@Verbero.com. Those inquiries come to me as well. I field those and deal with them or send them where they need to go. That makes things really easy. If people have any questions of any kind, you want to learn more about our sales structure, more about how to become a rep, how to build your own sub rep force, That's all there and available. And then Ryan, you can attest when you sign on with us, we send all kinds of tools out to our reps to allow them to maximize their sales and their sales opportunities. And then ongoing, we have team Zoom meetings. I'm constantly sending out, sales tools. We have a media asset library that we give all of our guys access to, so they have, fresh content to post and to utilize for sales and on down the line. And then beyond that, we're open to doing anything that makes sense. I get on Zoom calls with reps almost every day to help them close deals, help them educate new sub reps, whatever it takes to spread the word and to offer support. We do as a point of emphasis.
That's awesome. You got something special going. This is just the beginning.
Yeah, it's exciting, Ryan. And it's I don't know. Even when I was playing, I never really felt like there was an end to it. Like I've never seen something as like where I have this sort of like end goal, like where I'm going to do this and I'm going to create this amazing thing, or I'm going to win the Stanley Cup. I was always process focused. And I think that's why I was able to be successful. I could really get in the present moment, and I could give all of my effort and intensity in that moment, whether I was in the gym, whether I was at a game, whether I was traveling, whether I was spending time with family, whatever it is. And when I'm working on Verbero, that's what I'm focusing on. I'm spending my time and giving my intensity to making this thing the best it can be. And we're not perfect, nobody is, but we're always striving to be better and be be more unique. Our tagline is "Be different," and we intend to be different in every way. We're going to crash down all the barriers and barricades that have been put up by the mainstay brands over the last far too many years, and we're gonna take them on head on. That's
awesome. I'm ready to be a part. I am a part, and I'm excited, Andy. And
awesome.
Your time is very appreciative today. And I thank everybody for listening to the Carolina Hockey Podcast once again. And thank CEO Andy Sutton of Verbero Hockey. I'm Ryan DuPraw, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, Andy. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ryan.
All right, everybody. Have a great one. We'll see you.